Hello everybody and welcome to today's review of Tar. It is the new film directed by Todd Field starring Cate Blanchett. The film is a character study on a woman named Lydia Tar, a classically trained musician and composer who has achieved worldwide fame and is now at the peak of her career. During the course of the film, we watch Lydia prepare to conduct for the Berlin Philharmonic, one of the most prestigious orchestras in the entire world. But then she gets caught up in a scandal and the allegations that are brought up against her threaten to undo everything that she has ever worked for. Basically, she stands to lose everything: her job, her prospects, her prestige, even her family. This was a very interesting film. Todd Field's direction and Cate Blanchett's performance were definitely the standouts of this film. The film is an artistic exploration of power, how it can be achieved, how it can be abused, and also how it can be taken away, especially in this modern age. And these characters are so well defined because they know who they are and they know who they are to each other. And Todd Field's direction really subtly bleeds through in every scene simply by how the characters interact with each other. And in the case of Lydia Tar, she is very renowned for her talent, and a lot of people look up to her as a musical genius. But she does also possess a lot of qualities that make her disagreeable, to say the least. And a lot of people are afraid to say or do anything about it because she has a lot of influence within her community. She has the final say in any decision that is made, and in fact, she has the ability to advance other people's careers. And Lydia is very much aware of this, and she embraces it. Almost to the point where it's like she's abusing her power. But as her past finally becomes unveiled, and there are a lot of things that she didn't want other people to know about, we see her going from the top of this pyramid to the very bottom. And Cate Blanchett does a phenomenal job in internalizing Lydia's struggle as she tries to hold on to whatever false sense of control she thought she had. And as the film progresses, her character starts to unravel and the film becomes much more interesting, and her character slowly becomes more and more dimensional. And I appreciate the fact that Lydia is portrayed not as a straight-up villain, because there are a few redeemable qualities to her character. She is very dedicated to her craft and she sets the bar high for herself. She's just a bit complicated, and I don't think there's anybody who could have portrayed her as well as Cate did. There is definitely going to be an Oscar nomination in her future. Now, as to a few negatives of the film, there's only one issue I had, and that was the pacing. The first act is basically 30 minutes of dialogue. That I actually did not mind, because all of those scenes were very riveting, and by the time you get to the third act, you realize why those things were added into the film in the first place. It was the middle part that I felt dragged a bit, because there were a lot of scenes that were depicting Lydia's personal life that felt very repetitive. For example, there's a scene where we see Lydia struggling to fall asleep because she has a very sensitive ear. So any little tiny noise would cause her to stay awake, and she would walk around her apartment trying to figure out where the noise was coming from. There were a lot of those scenes though. I feel like if Todd Field removed those scenes from the film, the audience still would have had a good grasp of the story. So yeah, this is one of the best films I've seen this year, and definitely one of the most relevant films I've seen. As we focus on this woman's professional and personal life, the film addresses a lot of things that have been hot topics of discussion nowadays, such as cancel culture, the Me Too movement, identity politics, and there's definitely a huge generation gap as to how people view these certain subjects. And usually films of this nature tend to lean one way or the other, but this film surprisingly remains objective. Todd Field simply shows you the reality of the situation, and at the end of the day, he lets us as the audience decide for ourselves how we should feel about it. And I think that's what I appreciated the most about this film. So yeah, Cate Blanchett delivers a fine performance, and out of all the films I've seen this year, this is probably the best directed one. So I'm gonna give Tar an A-. Thank you for watching my video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope to see you again next time.